Assalamu alaikum to everyone. Your Excellency, Commissioner Johansson, Commissioner for Home Affairs, Your Excellency Charles Whiteley, representatives from the Cabinet, European Commission, delegation of the European Union to Bangladesh, fellow beneficiaries, members of the Migration Forum, basically who have all benefited from the Pratasha project, which is funded by the European Union. Once again, Assalamu alaikum and a very good morning to all of you. Commissioner, this morning we have in our presence representatives and beneficiaries, basically beneficiaries who have benefited from the Pratasha project. As my Chief of Mission mentioned earlier, we would like for them to interact with you and the team to hear their human stories and their experiences, and also the benefits that they have received from the Pratasha project over the last 5 years. So before we open up the discussion, we thought it might be interesting for you and the team to have a rough understanding and idea of what this project is all about. I'm sure you've heard quite a bit, but sometimes we take it for granted that everybody knows everything. So we just want to quickly give you a quick briefing of what this project is all about. So the Pratasha project has been implemented since 2017 and is nearing its closure in 2022 in December, funded by the European Union and implemented by the International Organization for Migration in partnership with its local implementing partner BRAC. It has a coverage of the 64 districts of Bangladesh, and in my presentation I will speak a little bit more in terms of how we focus and we establish ourselves in presenting and in implementing this project. We work very closely with the government of Bangladesh, and our main counterparts here are the Ministry of Expatriates Welfare and Overseas Employment, especially for the reintegration part and also for the migration governance components, and of course the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, and we also have our representative director from the West Europe wing, Mr. Shah Alam, here with us. So the overall objective of the Pratasha project is to contribute to the sustainable reintegration of returnees and the progressive achievement of Goal 10.7 to facilitate safe, regular and responsible migration and mobility of people. It would be interesting for our delegates to know that the Pratasha project commencement actually coincided with the signing of the standard operating procedure between the European Union and the government of Bangladesh in 2017. The Pratasha project, of course, predates the signature of the SOP. The SOP was signed in September of 2017, but the Pratasha project started its implementation in April of 2017 with an aim of supporting the reintegration, among other things, of those returnees who were coming back from the European member states and transit countries. The project focuses on 3 specific objectives. One is supporting the reintegration of irregular migrants returning to Bangladesh, so basically looking at sustainable reintegration. Specific objective 2 was looking at building the capacity of the government of Bangladesh and other migration actors to manage migration at the central and local level to ensure that reintegration is sustainable. So looking at the policy development side of migration. And of course the third objective was to ensure that returning migrants as well as aspirant migrants were well informed to be able to make informed decisions when it comes to migrating, regardless of where they want to migrate. So when they embark upon a migration journey, that the decision is an informed decision and to ensure that migration is safe and regular. The project contributes to the SDG Goal 10 and as I mentioned, also ensures safe migration in line with the Global Compact of Migration. So a few quick statistics. The caseload of this project was very specific. Those who were coming back from the EU member states as part of the SOP. So our target, looking at reintegration, was around 3,000 beneficiaries. So in the implementation time period, we have managed to surpass that target. We have also reached more than 1.4 million persons through various information campaigns, awareness messages on safe migration, and also engaged more than 8 million people through various digital media and social media platforms under this project. Before I go into the details of the project, I thought it would be interesting to just give you a very quick snapshot of the organization structure of the Ministry of Expatriates Welfare and Overseas Employment, which is one of the key ministries in addition to the Ministry of Foreign Affairs with whom we work. So you will see that the ministry has, here we have highlighted 4 key, what we call related agencies. So we have the Bureau of Manpower Employment and Training, or BMET, which has the main focus looking at aspirant migrants. So it's the pre-migration cycle. So when it comes to informing migrants on the safe pathways to migration, it usually falls under the BMET's purview. Ministry and the BMET also has decentralized presence. So it's not just Dhaka based. They also have offices in the districts. They have presence in actually 42 districts. And they also have what we call technical training centers. So through these centers, aspirant migrants can receive various skills training. It could be training on financial literacy in terms of how they can manage their remittances, etc. when they go abroad. So it's not just a centralized office, but it also has decentralized presence. Under the ministry, you also have the Wage Earners Welfare Board, or WEWB. This particular office is mandated with looking after the welfare of migrants and especially looking at migration services for returnees. So when we talk about reintegration and services for returnees, it would be through the Office of the Wage Earners Welfare Board. Under the Wage Earners Welfare Board, there is also the Prabashi Kalyan Desk. It stands for Migrant Assistance Desk. This is basically based at the airport, and migrants who are returning as well as those who are planning to leave abroad can seek assistance and information at this desk, which is based at the airport. And at the moment, the Wage Earners Welfare Board is a centralized office. They do not have presence at the field, but they are planning to set up offices in 30 districts known as migrant worker welfare centers through with funding from the World Bank, and we'll talk about it a little bit more in detail. 2 other key related agencies under the ministry is also the Bangladesh Overseas Employment Services Limited. This is the only public recruitment agency under the government. Bangladesh, as you know, is a migrant sending country, and it has nearly 2,000 private recruitment agencies. And this particular office, the BOESL, is a public recruitment agency which sits under the ministry. And of course, they also have the Migrant Assistance Bank, which is the Prabashi Kalyan Bank, or the PKB, which migrants can avail loan services and assistance for reintegration. So this is just a very brief overview so that you understand when we talk about how we have engaged the government under the Pratasha project. So as I mentioned earlier, the Pratasha project looked at 3 specific outcomes. So the first one is looking at sustainable reintegration. So this part is very important because the project focused on providing sustainable reintegration to those who are returning predominantly from EU member states as well as from transit countries. The Pratasha project is considered a flagship reintegration project in Bangladesh, which commenced in 2017. And even